Hey, before I kick off the podcast, I just want to shout out Next Door Clothing. Next Door, a clothing brand based out of Bondi in Sydney. They're making really nice jeans and shirts and hats. So go and check out their full range at nextdoorsydney.com. They're also artists, so you can go and check out a range of art. They put on rad parties, and I love what they're doing. So nextdoorsydney.com for the full range.
I'm having a good time.
You are?
Yeah.
I can tell.
We are rolling too.
Terrible happy talks. Terrible happy talks. Terrible happy talks. Terrible happy talks. Today's guest is Dylan Longbottom. Dylan is a professional surfer, craftsman, shaper, business owner, part-time stuntman, and most importantly, loving family man. Dylan has shown what he can do on water over the last 3 decades. From a stellar junior career to one of the best free surfers in the world, to a standout in the heaviest heaving slabs around the globe. He literally has nothing left to prove. Dylan's passion and drive to progress the craft of surfboard shaping and design make him one of the most sought after by professional surfers around the world. From fun beach break shortboards to big wave guns and tow boards, Dylan is constantly testing and refining and surfing every chance he gets. He has just returned from Desert Point in Lombok after a solid late season Indo swell, and he is currently preparing to travel to Nazare in Portugal to get amongst it and the Northern Hemisphere winter power swells with his team riders. Today, Dylan is with me in his boardroom, aka his shop in Berawa, Bali, to share his experiences, challenges, and hopes for the future. Dylan Longbottom, welcome.
Cheers. Thanks for having me, Shad.
How are you, brother?
Very good. I'm all good.
Mate, can you describe to us our setup at the moment? Where are we? What are we doing?
Yeah, so we're in Canggu. The part of Canggu is called Berawa, just on the northern side of Canggu. And yeah, this is my showroom. This is my kind of base, and my factory is just up the road where I've been shaping since early this morning.
Yeah.
So I kind of bounce between here and there and Australia. And also, as you said, I go to Portugal a couple times a year, to South America, to USA, to Japan. I'm kind of going everywhere now, shaping all around the world.
Yeah, are you establishing shaping bays around the world and then teaching the local shapers how to do your designs?
Yes, to some areas, yes. So like in Europe, Portugal's my base.
Okay.
And then we got a factory there, and it's really good because I got the guys there are amazing, the quality. So it allows me to fly there, surf their waves, understand my boards, work with the locals, and then kind of shoot boards up into France, UK, Ireland, and down to Morocco. The same for South America, where I make them in Peru, and then shoot them off up to Ecuador, Chile. But then a lot I make from here. I send to Japan from here and do a lot of export from here as well.
Wait, do you get on the road with your family, or are these solo trips?
Yeah, no. I try to take my family as much as I can. Last year they come for 2 months to Europe. So I try to take them as much as I can, but they kind of, they don't want to come all the time. And I was trying to get them to come this time. They're like, no, you just go. So I wish they could come all the time, but I got 3 kids and they got school and stuff, so it's kind of hard. Yeah. But I'm just like, they learn more on the road anyway. But it's I try to take as much as I can, but not all the time. But I wish I could take them all the time.
I like what you said about they learn more on the road. I mean, I'm a teacher, so I'm always thinking about the education of children.
Yeah.
And can you maybe describe to me what do you think they're learning on the road? Can you be specific? What kind of things are they picking up?
For example, that 2 months last year, we done 3 weeks in Portugal, and they get to. We're doing everything, We're doing their basics, the maths, reading, and all that. I'll keeping that going, but I just think they're learning, open their eyes to the world, not just stuck in a bubble of the same old. Really broadens their horizon, seeing languages, just how people live, So we done 3 weeks in Portugal, and then we done 3 weeks in Morocco. So, going down to that northern Africa, it was like going to a different planet, flying from Portugal to Morocco. So it was just like wild, you know. And then, you know, there's camels walking on the main road, and you know, they're Arabic and this and that. And then we would go from there. We went 3 weeks snowboarding in the French Alps and in Switzerland, because one of my good friends I make kiteboards for, he's like one of the world's best skiers. So he invites me over, and he comes here, and we've got a really nice family. And then we see their way of life, and it's totally different. You know, we're in the mountains, and they're just seeing you know, because we're from the beach and the ocean. And then the kids are just really open their eyes, and I don't know, they just seem to learn and be able to communicate with people, whether they're adults or kids. And then they get back, and I just think they're just a bit wiser. Happier, for sure, yeah.
And you get to, like, share these experiences that you'll have forever, yeah?
That's right. I get to share these experiences I've had with my kids, and my kids will remember this forever. Like, I wasn't that lucky. I didn't get to get... My first trip overseas was when I was about 17 to New Zealand, and I didn't really start going overseas until I was 19 when I was with Billabong. So, yeah, for my kids, you know, all my kids have gone around the world. My son has been to Tahiti where Code Red was on. My daughter, Summer, was in Tahiti with me when I made Point Break when she was 11. She surfed Portugal, Nazare when she was 13. My Malia has been Morocco, Portugal, France, England. She's been all around the world, and she's only 7.
Oh my God.
She's only 7, so... the experience, and then she talks to me, and she's like, hey Dad, remember that trip to Morocco? And says something, and you know, she still remembers it, so it's kind of...
How old's your eldest, Jay?
Jay's 20 now.
So 20.
Yeah.
At what stage in their life did they start to, or did he start to, or maybe Summer's already started doing it? At what stage did they actually realise, like, hey, this is a pretty crazy life we get to lead? Like, at what stage do they actually acknowledge that? Because I know,
yeah,
like, maybe a 7-year-old maybe can't gauge it yet.
Yeah, no, not even the teenagers. You know, it's not until they're in the late teens until they really go, wow, that was pretty
epic.
Wow,
yeah.
You know. Definitely not until their late teens. Yeah. They turn up, you know, it becomes normal for them, you know, and to be honest, they're like, you know, they kind of miss the normal life in a way, but in another way, they realise when later they're like, oh wow, that was, because all their friends are just going, you're so lucky, you know. But to them, it's normal, like, because Jay and Summer and Malia, they've all grown up travelling with me and Martinique, my partner. So
amazing.
But I think it's special, you know. Yeah.
Listen, I'm like so excited to talk to you about some big wave stuff. Like, I just want to get it out of the way.
Okay, yeah.
First one I want to talk about, for me, this is close to my heart, was the East Coast Low.
Oh, okay,
yeah. Like, and the reason I want to talk about that is because, like, I mean, I live right near South Beach in Wollongong.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
You know, and I mean, I remember the first day of that swell. I mean, it was all in the forecast. Everyone's talking about it, and I turn up to the beach that first day, and it's like the biggest ocean I've ever seen. At like on that coastline.
Yeah.
But the wind was just all over it, and it was terrible. And then the next morning I get up and had to go to work.
Yeah.
All day at work, I'm like...
Because it was a Monday.
Yeah, it was a Monday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I got to go to work. And then I'm at work, and I'm like, that wind's turned around. This is interesting.
Yeah.
And so all day I'm like, I'm hearing reports from people on my phone all day going, oh, it's the craziest, the best it's ever been on this part. Like, literally the 50-year storm.
Well, it pretty much was, you know, because I was lucky my dad was a surfer and taught me how to read synoptic charts.
Oh, right, okay.
So I actually don't go off the graphs like most people do.
Okay.
So, and I just find it really interesting all around the world, like the depths and this. And I was watching this storm, and because we're lucky on the East Coast, we get... you know, the south swells and the north swells, you know, and the east in between. So, but for us, you know, the best ones for these radical reefs are them big Norrie swells. So when I seen this one, and the way it kind of happened, I could see it was going to go offshore, but we had all that rain and whatever, you know, it looked so bad the day before. But I was shaping here in Bali. And I was like, shit, I got to get there, you know. I was like, so I jumped on a plane that Sunday night. I flew in that Monday morning. I landed at like 6:30 a.m. So I flew over Owls and all that, and I was looking down, and I was like, whoa.
That's different.
I knew it was going to be huge.
Yeah.
And the Owls comp was on. I had all my team riders in the Red Bull Cape Fear when I was giant and trying to kill them. So I was going back. I had to go back to shape anyway. So I was like, nah, jumped on a plane and then flew down. And I was grabbing my tow board and all my guns, and I was going to Bali Point.
Okay.
Because there's a place there off the back of Bali. It's called Supers. It's one of the craziest waves in the world. And that was going to be probably like 15, 20 foot, and it breaks on like 2 feet of water. It's pretty heavy and it's gnarly.
Yeah.
So I was going there, and then I flew in, and then I actually jumped on the train, and then I go straight to Kiama. I go to my brother. My brother and my dad live in Kiama, and I left all my boards there. Straight there, and my mates are ringing me, going, get to Wollongong, get to near the factory. This beach is incredible. And
you would have never believed it.
I've grown up there, I'm actually from Dapto.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I had to catch a train to the beach from Cronulla. I grew up in Cronulla, and then when I was young, we moved to Dapto. And I lived in squash courts there, and we had to catch a train to the beach.
Yep.
So I'd either go to like Port Campbell or Wollongong or to Minamara, Kiama area. So I grew up there a lot, but I never seen, I ended up surfing all the big waves around there for my whole life. But this swell, and then so I got my boards, I rock up, I run across the golf course where the stadium is, and mate, I couldn't believe what I seen.
Oh, I was the same. I was actually watching you guys tow it.
Yeah, right.
I was up at the lighthouse looking down, and everyone's like,
right.
Dylan Longbottom and Laurie Towner are out there, and a few other guys like Hayden Blair, I think.
Yeah, Hayden was out. Laurie didn't come. It was Laurie was in the Red Bull comp.
That's right.
So it was actually cool. It was just all the local boys.
Yeah.
It was a bunch of guys from my factory.
That's right.
It was Shane and Curdy and Jack, my workers who I share the factory with in Wollongong, and it was Ed Blackwell, one of my team riders, and Jacko. It was just all the boys from between Helensburgh and Kiama. So and they were out there because I didn't get there till like 9.
Right.
And I was like, oh shit! I just ran back quickly, got my waddy on, and I grabbed a 6'2" shortboard where I could possibly get whipped into.
Yeah.
And I had a 7-footer. Okay. So I just went, I got to take the 7-footer out because I couldn't wave them in, and it was just packed. The whole golf course was packed. I just ran out, and and my mates said, "How are you going to get out?" And I went, "I'm just going to try and paddle. I need to get out there."
Yeah.
So somehow I just tried to time it, and I was just like, I've seen these giant bombs. It was like 20 foot plus offshore heaving, and you know what? Somehow I fully jagged it. I copped a couple bombs, but I got out like within 5 minutes.
Right.
I couldn't believe it, and then it was unbelievable. But then, yeah, it was that big. I couldn't believe it. But the offshore, and it was hitting the banks that hard that I just got walloped.
Like that particular place is close to my heart. I've had some of the best surfs of my life in there, but it is a bit of a rare bird. Like it has to have, the good swell direction and the good wind, and it's inconsistent, fickle. But when I seen it, I was like, I just could not believe it was holding that swell.
Couldn't you? Yeah.
It was just unbelievable. And like I actually went down to the golf course. Yeah. And I think it's this guy Steen Barnes, the photographer.
Steen, yeah.
Took this photo with the gallery in the foreground, and then in the background is just like this unbelievable perfect peak, which would have been in the 10 to 15 foot range.
Yeah.
I actually I want to buy. It's on my to do list to buy, get it blown up. It's got to be in my lounge room somewhere one day. Yeah. Because it's just such an amazing rare photo.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like you guys were on that, and I just remember just watching it going like. I mean, I think I was actually like, I'm going to paddle out at one, but I was like, no way, it's just this another level. Yeah. Yeah. So
that's why I ended up just paddling out. I just seen one wave and I just ran and I ran out. So I didn't really know how big it was, to be honest, which was kind of good because you end up thinking too much anyway. But I just got out there and just started ripping in, and I was just like, but I kept getting belted, but I couldn't believe how big it was and gnarly. It was bigger than pipe gets, and it was like Port Escondido, but even heavier. Like it was top to bottom and holding. And I was just getting pumped. I was like, and the boys were like towing, and they were kind of sharing. I was like, give me a go, But then everyone was kind of frothing. We only had 2 skis, and but this guy come in to save me, and he was like, "Oh, you want to lift?" And I was like, "Yeah, oh, thanks, brother." He was a real estate agent from Wollongong, and he was just out there. He races jet skis, right? And he'd never been in the ocean. And he's out in like 15 to 20 foot, the rawest, craziest, heaviest ever been. And I was like, oh, thanks, brother. And then he was trying to work out how to get out because it was closed out. And then I said, hey, man, you got a rope? I'm sorry, I forget his name, and we became friends on Facebook, whatever, but he was totally cool. And I said, you got a rope? He goes, I have. I said, bro, can you tow me, whip me in? Like, because I was just getting belted. Anyway, he tows me in for the next 6 hours. And, man, I got some of the best waves of my life. Like, as good as Chopu, I've had Hawaii, Indo, the biggest, craziest pits of my life. Like, ones I couldn't paddle, there's no way.
Yeah.
I got the biggest waves of the day, biggest barrels, made some things I couldn't believe, thanks to him. And then it was about 3 o'clock. He goes, I gotta go. I got a showing for a house. And I'd spent about like from 9 till 3 or 6 hours in the water getting pumped.
No way.
So I was kind of spent too. And I was like, man, thank you so much. Like, and he goes, no, thank you. That was one of the best days of my life. And then
for sure.
I had to teach him, say, go this way, teach it, get out, pump. And it ended up going down in history as one of the best days ever. And
definitely. Like, even for me, like, obviously I didn't surf, but even for me, watching it and sort of living in that area for years, I mean, it was one of the best days of my life as well, just to even witness that kind of swell.
Yeah.
And those conditions. Like, are we ever going to see it again in our lifetime? What do you reckon?
Well, man, I'm 45 now, and I've been surfing that area since I was like 7, and
no.
I don't think so. I hope so.
Yeah.
I do hope so. But it was like the Code Red Day at Chopu when I was there. Them days are special, and you hope, but it makes me really realise how special it was for me to be there.
Yeah, and you were talking before about your mindset. I mean, and you said... And that was actually one of my questions. You're like, I didn't even really look at it, and I don't like to think too much. Like,
yeah,
is that the mentality you go for in most swells? Like, so if you're reading a synoptic chart and you know it's going to be big,
yeah,
what kind of feelings start to come up inside you? Is it anxiety?
Yeah, it is anxiety, and that's the worst part. Because we see the synoptic from a week out.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of thinking to do and seeing and reading charts and. You're really trying to control your mind of not thinking negative. You're trying to stay in a positive state of mind and staying focused on your line, the lines you want to take, the speeds you want to go, your equipment, your boards, what you're going to ride, all them kind of things, staying chopositive frame of mind, rather than being negative, like this could happen, what happens if this will happen? And then things do creep in your mind, you know. What if a Chopu and I catch an edge at the bottom and I go headfirst in the reef on a 30-foot, you know, they do cross your mind. And then when you're trying to sleep there, you can't sleep because you can hear it, and then you're having these dreams and you're waking up, and then you're like, but then when we get in the water, it all kind of flushes out, and then you're kind of in the zone, and then kind of thoughts disappear.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. I was just thinking about it, like, too, like, even for me, like, I mean, I don't go anywhere near the kind of conditions you go in, but even if I know it's going to be a solid day, like, I have trouble sleeping the night before because I feel that. And it's funny because my mind does go to the what ifs. Like, okay, what if I get held down, or what if I catch an edge, or... But I sort of like that you said you keep it positive. Like, are you actually looking at the surf break that you're going to surf on videos and stuff, and maybe breaking it down in your head, going, okay, it does this, it does that, it's got an end section?
A little bit. It's about experience. So we have to surf these places from a smaller size up, and then realise the lines you take and speeds, and obviously footage of other guys. But you also got to think, when the negative things come in, like, or what could happen, you also got to go through that as well, because you never know when you're going to come across a situation, and you got to be ready as well. So it can't be just all make, all good and glory. And it happened to me at Nazare last year. Yeah. Like worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
If you want. I mean, yeah. So I was all positive, and I wanted to surf it, and I wanted to try my boards, and it was unreal on the wave. And
did your ego get the better of you?
No.
Okay.
No, not at all. It was amazing, but it was just an error from my driver, and it's just so you don't have much time because of the canyon. Underwater canyons so deep, it makes these waves really close to each other. So the pickups are really tight for time. And my driver hadn't had much. I should have had Antonio who had more experience, but my driver, he kind of. I went the first wave of the set, and it was a bit of my mistake. I did get a bit after getting a few. I got a bit cocky and wanted one of them real. It was a bit windy, and I wanted one of the clean ones under the lighthouse, which was the real thick one. And I kind of frothed out. I went, go this one, and it was the first wave of the set. And then it's probably like 40 footer or something, but it kind of backed off, and I went. I kicked out where I should have kept going to the beat, but where I kicked out was right in the impact zone, and I didn't realize it was the first wave of the set because it was so big I couldn't see the ones behind it. And then that was my mistake by kicking out. And then when my guy come to save me before these giants set behind it, the three, he panicked and didn't look at me as I went to grab. He took off and left me there. So I got over the first one, which was about 50 foot, and the one behind it was just starting to cup. And when...
Had you pulled your vest? Did you have a vest?
No, that's when I just stopped. I was on a towboard. I couldn't paddle. And then I just went... I've never pulled in my life, like the cords. Yeah. So, and this is the first time I ever worn it. I was like, where are these things?
Uh-huh.
And I had 3 on me. I found 2. I popped. But then you'll see in the footage of the photos, I couldn't get underwater. I had no time anyway.
Yeah.
And pretty much a 60-footer landed on my head,
So, you'd pulled the vest, so you were all of a sudden super buoyant.
Yes.
And then the next one came, and you just no way. You become a beach ball.
I just put my head underwater, and I just got the biggest breath of my life.
Yep.
And then I just let it take me.
And what was that beating like? It was
the most ferocious thing ever you could ever describe. Pressure.
The force, G-forces.
It'd be like under Niagara Falls, pretty much, but constant for about 40 seconds, and getting tossed and turned in every direction, and me just staying calm in that situation.
So,
calm as I've ever been.
You did, and did you?
I did.
What was going on in your head? Were you just I had to let calm? What were you thinking?
I had to let everything go, and just I was meditating nearly.
Okay.
And just while it's letting flog me. Yeah, and just wait, just relax. But at the same time, you got the opposite. You got this angry
your
force.
Limit. Do you know your breath holding limits?
Yeah, I know my breath holding. Yeah, I do.
We all know, but I mean,
yes.
Have you done any training where you're like, listen, I'm pretty good for I can hold my breath for up.
I know I can handle 2-wave hold down.
Yeah,
and especially there, and that's what I ended up getting a 2-wave hold down with two canisters pulled. That's how the force of the wave. So, yeah. And then I could feel myself, after about 40 seconds, I could feel myself coming up, and I was that deep. I couldn't believe how deep I was. And I was like, here we go, come on. And then as I come up, I just got the biggest breath from my mouth, and then there was another one. So I got a big breath, another one, but I knew I was, it was probably about 30 foot of whitewash.
Yeah.
And then let that take me again. And then, but then when I come up, I was right under the cliff. I was here across the road, and there was a 100-foot cliff.
Look, I know a lot of those big wave locations around the world, they bring people unstuck, but it feels like Nazare seems to bring more people unstuck. I've seen a lot of footage of people just getting destroyed there. There was that footage years ago of one of your riders, is it female Maya Gabriana, is that how you say his surname?
Gabriera, yeah.
Gabriera.
Yeah.
I mean, that footage was just distressing because she was unconscious.
She was unconscious, yeah.
And then I actually watched one just recently of a guy getting a 3 to 4 wave hold down and end up the ski couldn't get him, and he ended up just getting in on his own power, getting washed in. But
yes.
So why do you think that's happening at Nazare more? Is it because of the cliffs, or
it's because it's a beach break. There's no channel. See, Choper or Jaws, you kind of get to a zone and then you can go and get them. But here, and there's more distance and time between each wave.
Yeah.
But at Nazare, because you got these canyons 6 kilometers deep, it creates this crazy wave, and they break close to each other, and you don't have the time to go and save them, and then you don't have a channel as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's it. So yeah.
So over the years, I mean, you've built some real strong relationships with places like Chopu.
Yeah.
So when it came to the Code Red swell, you'd been surfing Chopu for how many years prior to that?
Oh, like 15 years at that time.
So,
before that, yeah.
you know,
I've been going there. That was my first trip, was when I was like 19, 20.
Yeah, because so you've really done like an apprenticeship out there.
Yeah, yeah.
15-year apprenticeship. And when that Code Red swell happened, I heard that you and Laurie Towner were the first on it. In the mornings. And didn't the local government close the oceans? Or
yeah, well, that's what it was in paperwork, Code Red. No watercraft.
No go.
Yeah, and no, we weren't the first. Raymana, the local, and a Brazilian went out there, but they got injured, and they shut the license. It's too dangerous. But there was... but at that time, Billabong, because it was a Billabong Pro then, and it was right in the middle of the WCT, the WSL.
Yeah.
And so they had all the lawyers and all that there, and all the jet skis. They said, no, we're not allowed out because it's Code Red. It's been blocked. It's been shut. And they said, you're not allowed out there. And I was just like, you're kidding me, right? I can't. So I was, my team manager, Bo, was behind. He's like, I'm going to try my best. And they're going, no, and you aren't allowed out. And I was just like... So I ended up fighting, arguing for like 2 hours till about 8:30. And we come up with a plan that we had to tape up. We went down to we had to like sneak into the yard where the jet skis were. We had we had all this black tape, taped up all the Billabong stickers, and then we pretty much stole the jet skis.
So wait up, the Billabong, the Billabong solicitors made you do that?
No, they just took a blind eye.
But why'd you have to tape up your logos?
Because if something happened to us, we could, I guess, sue them.
So it was the Billabong solicitors telling you to do that.
They said blind eye, but they said that's the only way we can kind of protect ourselves, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
Because if we got injured, I guess, with the Billabong, I don't know, you know.
It's just crazy because, like, amidst all this in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, fuck, I got to go surf. Like, Like, I'm dealing with this, but really my mind should be thinking about surfing probably the heaviest surf that's ever hit.
And this went on for hours, and then I'm taping up all these stickers, and then boom, then all of a sudden, me and Laurie jumped on one, and Dean Bowen from Gerard, and Benjamin Sancho from France. So me and Laurie are a team, and then me and Laurie got out there first, and there was no one out there. And there was like 3 or 4 boats of photographers, and we're like, where is everyone? They said, you can't surf it. It's too heavy. Dude. And we went right there, like waves, like looking down, and it was pretty scary.
Yeah.
Like we were like...
Well, when you were driving over them?
No, we went up and we parked right, we're reversing right into it, where we pull off, because right into the zone. And we only looked at one and we went, let's just try one. And then...
what do they look like when you're sitting out there waiting for them?
Yeah.
Okay, like, what do they look like as they're coming at you? Like, are they hard to gauge exactly how big they are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
they're huge. They're huge lumps of water, like so thick. These ocean swells.
Yeah.
But then when it hits the reef, it turns into this crazy monster. Goes below sea level.
Yeah, that's what.
And you can't, But at that size, everyone is a crazy thing.
Because I often think that, like, let's say you've got 20-foot jaws, like. I guess if you're out there, you can see this mountain of water.
Yeah.
But out there, I think because it's a slab, it would be harder to gauge exactly.
Exactly. So that's where your experience comes in, and the speed of your driver, the speed of your board, the line you're going to take, and you got to come in early because that thing jacks from a 30-foot ocean swell to a 40-foot, and then goes below sea level, but it goes thick, and so.
Goes as fast.
Yeah, and if you get in there late, you're gone.
And that's why you need to do a 15-year apprenticeship.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and that was for me and Laurie. Like, and I knew my lines. I'd been surfing there with Andy Irons and Dorian and all the boys, like Manoa Drillette.
Yeah,
he was my tow partner, and he was the best.
Yeah.
So I'd served my apprenticeship. I knew my time. I've had wipeouts. And
would you say that's where your confidence came from?
Yes,
that
for sure.
Familiarity.
Yes, yeah. I knew the speed, how fast I had to go, and I knew my lines. Yeah, and I knew what to expect because when you're inside them things, you're going so fast in this thing that is so and then spits hard, and then you got to kick out before the closeout. You got to go from your inside rail to your outside rail, get a bottom turn in because one year I'd done that and I bottom turned too early. I skipped out, and then I got foam board and I copped the 2-wave hold down out there with a life jacket on.
Oh my god!
Yeah, so I knew exactly what to do.
Bouncing off the reef at the same time.
Yeah, I've hit hard, but not too bad. I've been pretty lucky.
Man, and then like when you're a stuntman on that movie Point Break, the remake.
Yeah,
you guys went there on a solid swell, but with that movie, man, I got to ask you. Listen.
Yeah.
I love Point Break, the original.
Yeah,
it was hands down. Got to be one of the most classic movies ever. If you're a
for sure,
if you're a non-surfer.
Even non-surfer, exactly.
I remember I was watching it and I was like, and I'd heard that you were in it, and I was like, oh, Point Break, and I kept thinking in my head, oh, Point Break 2. I was pumped.
Yeah.
And I'm watching it, I was like, and then like, oh, there's Bodie. I'm like, no, Bodie died Bodie's dead.
Yeah.
You know, like Bodie, he can't be here. Like, and it's like my wife's like, no, it's a remake.
Yeah.
It's like, damn it. Like, I wish they made a Point Break 2. And it's like, where are they now? You know, like Keanu Reeves is a pro shaper in Bali, three kids or something.
Continued on, continue. For sure.
I wish someone would do that.
I know. I was like, I didn't care because I was like, man, I couldn't believe it because it was one of my favorite movies all time. And I was going to be Patrick Swayze. I was Bodie.
Dude, that's what I
was Bodie's lookalike. I was Bodie.
You're the Bodie Zephyr.
And then and Laurie, they asked Laurie to be Johnny Utah.
Right.
And I was like, we were tripping, you know. And then it was like a 2-year lead up. We had to wait for the giant swell.
Yeah, right.
And then so we were the lead stuntman, and then Laurie had Bruce Irons as a backup, and I had Billy Kemper, the world champ, as a backup. But me and Laurie were the closest descriptions to the actor. So, and which were new actors. It wasn't going to be Patrick Swayze, or Keanu Reeves, which I was. We hope, but we had no idea. But we just going to do our thing, and whatever you want to do, we'll do.
I loved it. It was a good movie.
Yeah, it was cool. But you know what? You know, the movie wasn't as good as it should have been. But
why is that?
Oh, I just think they should have kept it similar to the first one, you know?
Oh, that's what I was hoping, like I said, Point Break 2, you know, like the continuation. But it was still an epic movie.
Oh, it was still sick. And you know what? We just had fun making it. And like I said, I had my daughter Summer on the whole project.
Oh, my God.
And just with the whole, like, 300 people working there just for our scene.
Just to see
Just our scene. And they'll tell us about the motocross scenes and the snowboard scenes and the producers with me and the actors and the cameraman, and just the whole thing was pretty radical.
So the producers were that committed to waiting for a swell as well?
Yes.
That's rad.
We waited nearly like a year and a half, 2 years.
That's epic.
And then it was coming, it was like, all right, we're on. And we're like, oh, shit, it's happening. And then we...
How many days of filming did you do there? Was it just...
6 weeks.
So you were at Tahiti for 6 weeks?
6 weeks,
and just on every swell?
So the first big one come, and I was like, all right, this is it. So we're going to go for a month.
Yeah.
And this swell was the biggest it's been in a couple of years, and they wanted it as big as possible.
Yeah.
And they wanted 2 of us on the wave, and it was Bodie's wave. Johnny Utah drops in, 2 on a wave, and then I go cross it over on Chopu because I was Bodie, and I cross over him.
You are Bodie.
And then I had to look back and go, follow my line. So I'm going left, but I'm looking back at Johnny Utah, going, follow my line. And then... If he wiped out, he did, they'll use it. And then I do a flying kick out, and then I had to do all these underwater scenes, and I had to go save him, pick him up. You'll see it in the movie.
Like deliberately take hold downs and going to the impact zone.
That was the hardest part of the work was these underwater scenes. When I was small, we had to go to these Chopu and these other reefs, and that was harder than surfing the 20-foot Chopu. That was easy and the fun part. So I had to go. I had cameraman at the bottom. Laurie had to go swim to the bottom, lay on the bottom like he was passed out. And I had to swim. I had to get smashed
in the impact zone.
And they wanted me coming out of the impact, like white water, the blowing up white water.
Yeah.
And then I kind of get work, lose my energy, and then I had to swim down about another 20 feet and save him. And I'd done that for like 3 days straight, like about 100 takes. My eyes were stuffed. I was like, it was probably really good training actually, because that was the first few days. But that was harder, like that part of the job than surfing.
Dude,
yeah.
It just, oh man.
And then I remember having my daughter Summer was there, and then she was there. She was actually got seasick because they were sitting on the boat for like 8 hours, and she was bobbing around while we were doing these underwater.
In the channel.
Yeah, and luckily Romana goes, come here, Summer, and put her on the jet ski, and she made it right. But then when the waves come, and then it was the day before. I remember the afternoon before, and there's like these marquees and all this. and everyone's there, and they're like, all right, we've shut the lineup down. It's going to be... And we're like... And I looked at Laurie, Led Hamilton is a vagabond driver in the movie, and he's towing Johnny Utah, which is going to be Laurie, and Rayman is going to be towing Bodie, which is Dylan. So it's just Bodie, it's only Laurie and Dylan in the water.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, as big as been in years, it's going to be like 20 to 30 feet. It's going to be west, it's going to be heavy, low tide. And we were just like, we couldn't believe what they were saying. So at that time, that anxiety starts creeping in.
Yeah.
And then we got helicopters, we got boats with cranes, we got everything looking at us. We're like, well, it was a bit of pressure, But
you reckon?
At that time, but once the water was sweet.
Yeah.
But then, as it happened, they tried to shut the water down, but then a few of the boys who charged were like, you can't shut it down when the morning come. It was huge.
Who helped you shut it down, like local authorities?
Local authorities, yeah. But my good mate, my tow partner, Manoa, he come out Manoa drove out.
Yeah.
And he was like, he wasn't working. And then his little brother, Matahi, who's my team rider, who was 16 at the time, he goes, no, we live here and we're going to surf. So they had a big argument, and while that's happening, Laird towed Laurie into two crazy ones, and his third one was a closeout, and Laurie went headfirst into the reef.
I heard about
While
that.
they're arguing, I'm on the back of the sled going, no, these are my mates, like, just let him surf, Raymana. And Laurie, I just got the news, Laurie's been hurt. Laird saved him in the... And Laurie goes, I'm all right. And he goes, no, you're effed.
I did hear about that.
And the chopper took him to hospital. So I'm like, oh, no. But they go, look, they're going, he's going to be okay. And then he just had a baby at the time. And then his wife quickly, they flew her over and he couldn't bring the baby. So Bruce Irons come in as Laurie's backup for Johnny Utah. So then it was me and Bruce to do the stunt. And then it was crazy. So we got singles, and then I said to Bruce, I'm ready. You ready? He goes, yeah, let's do this. So I end up, we got this one. I said, I'll come flying from super deep, mega, and he comes straight down the wave. So I come flying across.
Yeah.
And then we do this crossover on the wave. I make it. I had to go over his wave.
We're talking a 20-footer?
Yeah, 20-footer.
Oh,
yeah.
And you're doing a crossover?
And I've done a crossover, yeah. So luckily I done it. Jesus. I come across, so I had to do a high line over his wake, and I kind of went free fell off his wake because it made a little step.
Yeah.
And then I dropped in. I was like, sweet, made that. And then I could see the line, and then I was really going to go square. And then that's when I looked back at him, and I went, follow my line. And he's just like, yeah. I just still see his face. And then I look back, and I just got the crazy, because I'm looking back at him, then I look back, and I got looking out of this giant tube.
You're looking into the barrel?
I was looking into the barrel, and then after I said it, I look out, and I see the mountains, and I'm in this giant tube.
Yeah.
With Bruce behind me. And then we both made it, got spat out into the channel, and everyone just couldn't believe it. And it was...
Oh, my God.
They called the choppers in, all the boats, the cranes... Got that. That was the clip.
Got the shot.
And the producers couldn't believe it. The actors couldn't believe it.
Were they just like...
They were just buzzing. And I was just like, thank you. So, yeah. And then we end up just doing it all that. But then it was that pumping. Me and Bruce we want more. And they go, no, because Laurie got hurt.
Okay.
And they didn't want us to go. But we were like, but we can do it. We're sweet, But they go, no. They had to get... After every wave, they wanted to get all the cartridges from the cameras, and they didn't want us to get hurt. But
it must be so much work must go into it, behind the scenes, all that stuff.
So much work, And so we ended up having 2 swells. We were there for a month doing all that. And then another swell come. I went back to Australia, and then another swell come, and they went, all right, we want you back for another 2 weeks. And then we had to do the POV stuff, the point of vision. And then we had to get towed in, the both of us, holding big red cameras, which are 20... Oh, no,
the red cameras, they're $50,000 each or something like that.
50 grand cameras, and we had to get picked up with one arm on the rope, 2 of us on a rope.
And get a barrel shot.
Spit on the lens.
Yeah.
Drop it in while, all right, here's a 30-footer, 20, 15, whatever. And then we had to film each other. Once he'd have the camera, be filming me inside the barrel, and then I had to get him filming him. And we actually got the craziest
camera.
Yeah, we got the craziest footage ever.
When you say getting each other, one's on the ski filming.
No. Both. We're both on a board.
So you're both towed in, but one's got a camera.
Yes, yeah, and 2 on the rope. No.
Not like holding a GoPro.
No, we're holding giant cameras. Yeah, and that was gnarly. And then I went too deep, so I pushed Bruce too deep.
Yeah.
And then
my
you see him just on the foam ball get nailed. He throws the camera like kind of towards me, but on an angle.
Yeah.
And you see photos of this giant camera in the barrel behind me. Bruce is doing donuts.
No way.
And then
the camera's going over the falls.
The camera's just behind my head, yeah.
Dude.
So they put a couple of bits of foam on it.
I was going to say.
And then we had to go save Bruce, and then we had to go find the cameras.
No way. I was going to say, yeah, go and find, like,
But
so
because they had these
100 grand's worth of
had
camera.
these foam piece on the side, they'd come to the surface, and then they'd scoop up the cameras.
No way.
Yeah, but they end up getting the craziest because we've seen it on the screen, but they only used the tiniest bit. But Warner Brothers, they said they won't never let you guys use this. That's their policy. And they've got all this crazy footage of us on the craziest cameras.
Just sitting there.
Just sitting there, yeah, at Warner Brothers.
Were you there that day at Chopu? I forget who it was. I think it might have been Raymana or...
Yeah.
I forget it was on,
I was on the way...
When the jet ski... He ditched the jet ski and someone got barreled under the jet ski.
Yeah, I was on the second wave behind that. That was my first...
That was nuts.
That was my first day I ever towed Chopu.
Right.
Yeah.
So who was riding the ski?
So it was Reef McIntosh.
That's right.
Okay,
and
so
Raymana was on the way.
So he never rode a jet ski before, and Raymana was staying with Raymana. He's like, Raymana's like, nah, just tow, you'll be right, and towed him, and that happened. I didn't know this happened because I was out the back.
No
you see it. I just posted recently on Instagram. It's there, and then Garrett McNamara was on the second one, and I was there with Andy Irons and Shane Dorian, and I didn't take my tow board. It was my first ever tow board. And then 2 nights before, I just won the big wave award from Shipstern.
Yep.
And Andy and Shane Dorian picked my award up, my giant check, and brought it to me because they were staying with me with the Billabong team. And they were like, here's your check. And then they flew down for the swell.
Right.
Yeah, so I was with them, and Andy brought his tow board because I was already there.
Yeah.
And I said, Andy, man, can I use your tow board? And he didn't want to know about it. And he was like, yeah, man, go for it, deal, go. I was like, and then Brock Little towed me. So Reef towed Raymana in the first one, and that happened. I didn't know. I was way out the back. And then Garrett got the second one. There's a third wave of no one on it, and then I got the last wave of the set. I was out there by myself, my first ever tow wave, and it was the biggest of the day, the crazy west one. And I was on...
clarify, no toe straps. It was actually...
No, it was a tow board.
It had toe straps.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was Andy Irons' tow board from Eric Arakawa from Hawaii.
Yep.
And then, so, it was my first time ever towed Chopu, and this thing was like a 30-foot west
beast
closeout.
Okay.
And I just went, I got this, and I just charged it, so Brock Little towed me in.
Yeah.
And then I didn't see him, but I nearly killed Reef.
Right.
Reef jumped off the ski because my wave was so big it broke out further.
So that incident had happened. In the meantime, you're getting towed in.
Yes.
Reef's just ditched the jet ski.
The jet ski's in the impact zone getting beaten up, like broken to pieces.
And what about Reef?
Reef's in the impact, kind of in the, because he jumped off out the back, but my wave was so big. And he had to swim under it. And then you see in the footage and the photos, his feet, and I was like probably 1 foot away. I was flying. I nearly run over him, which would have really stuffed me up, and I would have killed him. And then this thing went below sea level, and I was going that fast, I couldn't hold my line, and I held on so long, I ended up getting so smashed.
On a board you've never ridden?
On a board never ridden. I'd never towed a wave like this in my life, one of the heaviest. And same again. I just chilled and relaxed while I was getting beaten up, and I come up and I was like, yes! What? I did have the crazy feeling, and I got it, but... And then Raymana's in there getting beaten up, and the jet ski is about 10 feet away from me, just bobbing there. Everyone's screaming at me. I was like, yeah, I'm alive. And then I look behind you, quick. So Brock comes and saves me. Reef somehow got through my way with a life jacket on, and Brock Little saves me, used my rope. I had to put it on the Red Bull jet ski. Raymana gets saved. We all get to the channel, all cuddle. We
survived.
What just happened? I'm like, what happened to you, man? What's going on here? And then they all actually went back to the family I stay with. With Laird Hamilton and Raymana and all the Brock, Andy and Shane, and we just couldn't believe it. Raymana nearly got killed. And we went back and saw it, and we were like, that was really heavy.
That was so gnarly.
So, yeah, we all just kind of... And then we all got together, and then we all went back out for the RV session and scored again.
It seems like...
That was 2005.
Yeah, and I mean, the tow game has definitely improved since then in terms of, like, the safety and...
Yes, a lot more experience.
Yeah,
and this was early days.
You guys were pioneering it, you know?
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah.
But, God, what a way to pioneer it. I guess that stuff's got to happen. I mean, glad it wasn't...
Well, that was... And it can happen at Chopu because it kind of goes from that deep ocean water to the slab, and he got too close...
And hard to get a read
And then
on.
he panicked because if he stayed on, he would have went over the falls with a jet ski. He went too close.
Yeah, right.
And because he had no experience on the jet ski.
Yeah. And I'm sure, like, I mean, it would be, like you said, getting a read on it, especially those west ones. Those west ones are the ones that really bend.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the ones you want.
They're the ones you want, but in the if you're in the boat, it looks like they're going to break. But then they just go square onto the reef. They break in the same spot still.
Yeah.
But they're harder for us to kick out. It's more of a closeout. You don't have much time.
Yeah.
But they're the biggest, squarest ones for sure.
Dude, that whole trip for Point Break, did you and Laurie Towner just call each other Johnny Utah and Bodie Zephyr?
Yeah, well, it was pretty funny. Yeah.
You are the Bodie Zephyr. Like,
Well, there's a few people, a few mates still call me Bodie.
Hey, take that.
Yeah. It's pretty funny.
It's a rad nickname.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I feel like you've been destined, and you were born into a life of surfing. Your father was an avid surfer, and from what I understand, he was really integral in starting the world tour. Correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, and you were born into that.
Yeah,
you know?
I was a kid. I was like the Surf About, the Bowery Pair, Straight Talk. They were the first world tour events, and my dad was a judge. He worked and all his mates were from Cronulla. They run the ASP. Yeah, Sid was the boss, so he employed my dad and all his mates.
Yeah.
So I was the grommet of these comps. I'd be in the Connass area, my brother and my cousin, and I was there. Like, it was crazy. I was so lucky. Yeah. And then they were making all the boards as well. Like MR. See, my dad worked at Gordon Smith.
Yeah, GNS.
GNS. No. Yeah. So and like Michael Peterson worked there, and Mark Richards and PT. PT was the world champ, but he come down. He moved from the Gold Coast and he lived with my family. So I just caught up with him in USA recently, and he's like family, mate, you know. So
it's literally
he come and shaped for GNS, and he lived with my uncle and auntie. And
at any stage though in your life, did you ever feel like you were pushed into surfing?
No, it just happened. Really my dad wasn't pushy at all. No, he kind of. It was us that wanted it.
In your DNA.
Because living at Dapto, we were more into soccer and footy and squash. I lived in squash court.
Yeah.
And my dad was cricket.
Was the squash court a business?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So the house was part of the business, and we lived in that, and all my mates just come around, and I had to shop there. But I was more into other sports when I was younger.
Like soccer or rugby league?
Soccer and rugby league.
Yeah.
So, but when we become young teenagers, all the boys from Dapto started catching the train on the beach with my brother, and I said, Dad, can I go with them, you know? And I ended up getting an injury from footy when I was about 14, playing for Dapto Canaries, and I was just like, stuff this. I don't want to, I just want to surf.
Yeah.
So surfing, it all come from inside me. I just wanted to surf.
Yeah, the lifespan of a rugby league player is pretty short, really, because it's so hard on the body.
I got cork thigh, and I couldn't walk for a couple of weeks. And couldn't surf, couldn't skate. Yeah.
That's what happened to me. Like, so I grew up playing soccer down in Nowra, Illaroo Road Soccer Club. How you going? And I was pretty into it, but then I remember I hurt myself on the soccer field and I couldn't skate.
Yeah. And
then I remember the next season come around, I was like, oh, Dad, I don't think I want to play soccer anymore. He's like, well, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to skate. He's like, really? In hindsight, I'm glad because I'm 42 now and I'm still skateboarding.
Yeah,
and I love it more than ever. And surfing, and I say this a fair bit, like surfing, I think you can be in for the long game, and I really at a point where I want to be in it for the long game. I want to be doing it for as long as possible. And activities like that, they just knees and ankles.
And that's what I'm so fortunate now. I never thought of it back then, but now being a shaper for so long and a surfer, it's a sport we can do till we're 90 or 100 or 80. Yeah. We can do our whole life. It doesn't even matter what your weight. Yeah. You can still get on any board and have a paddle, and whatever country you're in, surfing's all around the world. It's an activity or a sport or a hobby you can do your whole life The ocean is free. You know, it's healthy. Whenever I go for a surf, you always feel good.
Well, that was my next question. Like, you said you're 45. I mean,
Yeah.
you look like you're in really good shape. And I'm not like, without sounding
I
weird.
try to, but
It does sound weird. But like, I mean it in terms of like, and from what I gather, you're still chasing swells and you seem as hungry as ever.
I'm just passionate about it. I love it. Yeah, I actually am. I'm trying to slow down, but
would you say you're getting more passionate?
It's kind of weird.
Or has it
I don't
changed?
know. I'm trying to slow down because my business is getting so busy, but I'm traveling to these countries that they got big waves, you know. And I was just in Tahiti now. I shape there. And I stayed with Chopu, the same family I stayed with 20 years.
Yeah.
So I'm shaping there, and it's actually working hand in hand because I'm still surfing Chopu, and I still love it, but I'm still working on my boards. And now with like Portugal, it's not just Nazare. There's slabs there. There's beach breaks. I just went to America recently with my daughter, so
It's amazing.
I still love it, you know, and I keep fit by shaping. And
Yeah.
my kids, I love skateboarding still. I go to the pump track here
At Amplitude.
Amplitude.
I was there yesterday.
Yeah. Take my groms, and I don't know. I'm just young at heart, I would say, and that's my hobby. And
Would you say it's
I used to go to the gym here and there and jog, but I find my fitness is best by surfing and skateboarding
as much as possible?
as much as possible, and shaping. That's my fitness regime.
I love that. Yeah, I love that, and I find the same thing too. Although I do try to stretch every day. Especially once I hit 40, just things changed a little bit.
Yeah, same. Because I've gone hard surfing and playing sport when I was young, and shaping especially. I feel in my back these last few years, so I'll be in my shape. If you come in my shaving bay early, I stretch between every two boards.
Well, that's funny.
Yeah.
Because I had Nev Hyman was on the show.
Yeah.
And he was saying that too. He said it takes fitness to shape. He said,
It does.
he actually said his feel for shaping improves the more he does. He talked about the time when he was like really popular. His boards were super sought after. I think in the 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
And I think, did you ride for Nev?
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, and he was like, yeah, and they flew me to Tokyo. My boards were super popular in Japan.
Yeah.
And they said, we want you to come for 2 weeks and just shape as many boards as you can. And he said, I was in the shaping bay every day, 2 weeks straight. Looks like you got some customers.
Yeah.
And every day, 2 weeks straight. And I was pumping out 15 boards a day. And he said, like, I went through these phases of like my back was sore, my hands were sore. But then after about day 4, day 5, it's like I got my shaping fitness.
Yes.
And is that what you find?
That's right. Yeah. If I have a week off and just surfing or with a family, I do lose that fitness. It's the same for surfing. You do lose that timing. But I'm regularly shaping like 10 to 15 boards a day now.
Amazing.
So I got my shaping fitness, but also my eye and my feeling in. I'm really in touch. My boards are better by doing more boards.
Yeah.
I'm just in kind of rhythm.
Okay.
And the weight I'm using of my blocks and my planers and this and that. My shaping actually better, but it's harder on my body. But as long as I eat good and stretch in between boards.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
To become more intuitive.
Yes.
No, I follow you on some of the social medias, and I look at your website and I look at some of the boards you're producing, and you're producing boards like, you know, beach break, summer, shortboards.
Yeah.
You know, with channel bottoms and really, you know, wide and flat. You know, to your like what's behind us. Like, what is that?
That's an 8.8 gun for
8.8
Lucas Chumbo, my team rider for giant ulus.
Okay, so I was going to say, so that's for ulus. So I mean, that's a really diverse range. You know, like it doesn't seem like you're specializing in one particular style. Like, and why is that?
Yeah, well, because I've done the big wave thing, but people are kind of recognizing that. But I'm so passionate, and I love surfing small waves too.
Yep.
And I want to surf. I want to have fun in small waves.
Right. Okay.
So that's why I've been working so hard on my small wave quiver. Like recently, I've changed my 20 into 6 channels.
Yeah.
And I like working with epoxy. I really want to have fun when the waves are 2 foot still.
So when the waves are 2 foot, you're going for epoxy. Like EPF.
2 foot, yeah. If I'm going for epoxy when it's small for performance boards, or for like fun boards, I'm using 20s with 6 channels and hull bottoms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then I've worked so hard. The bee's knees is the performance boards. You know, I've worked so hard for so long to get them right, which is the everyday board.
Yeah.
But then because I'm doing the big wave surfing all around the world at Chopu and Nazare, Shipsterns, Hawaii, that I've been really, the last kind of 10 years is really focused in the world's best. I want to ride my tow boards and my big wave paddle boards.
I've noticed.
So, and now after surfing Nazare, and I had to experience going that fast to be able to understand what will work. And I thought my chopo boards could work there, but nah.
Do you think that's improved your relationship with your riders? The fact that,
yes.
The fact that you can go, yeah, okay, 30-foot Nazare, you're going to go this fast, and
yes.
that's what they surf. So
yeah. So they really trust me now, and I got all the world's best now.
Yeah.
They see me surf chopo and Nazare, and they go, this shaper knows what works because he's actually surfing it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. Like, and now this season in Europe, it's going to be huge because it's got nearly every big wave riders on my board. I can't believe it. Yeah, I feel like
I'm seeing your logo everywhere at the moment.
It's going good. Like, I'm keeping busy, but it's good. So I'm stoked. How's it going?
So you've got three kids. I know
yes.
That, Jay's the oldest, and you run a business.
Yep.
And you're a pro surfer for Billabong.
Yeah.
And a husband.
Yeah.
How do you keep the balance?
Yeah, so I've been my wife now for 26 years now, yeah.
Amazing, man.
So I got all to her. She's the one, she's been the rock for the family because I've had to travel a lot. And she's made a lot of sacrifices for me, and I owe it all to her. She's the best mother, but she's been so supportive in my career, not just surfing and the shaping. And then... obviously, when I'm home or when I'm not shaping, I want kid time, Yesterday, I was shaping at 4 a.m. I shaped 15 boards, and I picked my daughter up from school, and we went surfing down here at Berawa, and then we went to Bounce.
Oh, yeah.
And then I went to Mondays Were Wrong with the kids' park for dinner. It's a massive day, but...
It's a huge day.
And then the other week, my daughter, Summer, she's back at Oz now in school. She wanted to finish year 10 there, so... because we're kind of traveling the rest of the year. So, I took her to Desert Point in G-Land the other week. Then we'll come over for like 2 weeks. So she got probably the most craziest wave at G-Land ever, for a girl.
Yeah.
And then just a couple of weeks ago, my son Jay come over because he's working now.
Yeah.
And he come over, and it was a good swell. It was a long weekend in Australia. I think it was a footy long weekend or something. And we got all-time Karamas with like 5 of us out. And
what at Karamas?
At Karamas, yeah. What? And it was unreal. And he ended up getting the waves of the day. And so for me, I was just so stoked to see him get the best barrel. Yeah,
proud dad moment.
I was proud dad moment. Yeah.
Wow, man, it must be so special. Just going through the generations now.
Yeah, so because we had a big gap between Jay and Summer with Malia.
Yeah,
and they're kind of nearly more. Well, Jay's more moved out, and the kids are growing up so fast. I'm stoked Malia's still smaller. I say to her, "Can you stay young? Because it's so fun at that age." She's 7.
Yep.
And she's loving the skateboarding. We get an amplitude every second day, and
so good.
And we've got the new section there, which is so good,
yeah.
and the pump track and the pool, and then teaching her to surf again. So it's so family life's good, and I'm trying to get them to travel with me as much as I can.
For that life experience.
For the life experience, and just because I miss them too.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's why I try to keep the trips minimal.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I just get a bit homesick.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, going back to those experiences with your children, I mean, I can really relate because for me, part of the reason to move over here with my kids was I want them to have that foundation. They're learning a second language, and my daughter's about to turn 5, and already she can speak Bahasa Indonesian, and it's and just being around different culture, and because Bali is such a melting pot of different cultures and nationalities, they're exposed to that, and they wouldn't I love the South Coast.
Yeah,
I love it. Growing up, I just wanted to get the hell out of Nowra as quick as possible, which I did. I moved there when I was 18, but I was back and forth for a couple of years, but I've actually lived away from there for longer than I live there now. But I do love the place, but really, my children wouldn't be exposed to the diversity that they're exposed to.
It's the same with my kids too, and you see us coming, from the South Coast. We only spoke English, When they said we did do French and German at school, but it was I just went surfing, I think, when them classes are on. But now I wish I'd done it. But here you're exposed to the Bahasa. My kids speak Bahasa better than me.
Yeah.
And they learn Portuguese, or because I have so many friends from Brazil here, or Spanish, and it's I'm spewing I didn't learn it because I'm jealous of all my mates who speak Spanish and Portuguese and Bahasa. Like, it's so cool. Like,
yeah, I mean, you would have had to pick up some Portuguese with all your Brazilian riders. And
I try. They try to teach me more funny words and joking around the factory, but it's pretty cool. Like, yeah,
it's classic. Man.
My partner, she's doing the Bahasa course now just to get really deeper into it, which is cool. Gee. So. I wish we could speak more. I'm going to try, but I reckon it's really cool for the kids.
It is. Yeah. Would you ever consider like moving to Bali full time? Or just
we have. We have over the years.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much 50% here, 50% Australia.
So you've got that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Going.
So half the month here, half the month Australia. It's
Amazing.
perfect.
Well, man, listen, it's been epic. It's been an hour, and it's like I know you've got things to do and people to see and maybe even get a surf in. And last question for you. What's next? Just keep doing what you're doing?
I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Just keep making boards from 1 foot to 100 foot and just keep refining and working. Just keep an open mind and just keep working with the world's best. Keep surfing Bali and Indo and just want to make good boards for everyone and just give my family a good life. That's all I want. And if I get good waves, I'm stoked, but I'm pretty content. But the waves just keep coming at me, so I just I keep surfing.
Like when we were communicating back and forth, you're like, go on to deserts, and you were testing boards at Desert Point.
Yeah, I had a board demo.
And then you get back, and then you're about to go to Nazare, and I'm just like, mate.
It was cool. And then like this week it had the second swell, and then I went surfing with Thai Buddha, and we just got some amazing waves. The swell just kept coming.
Oh, I can't.
It's good again today, but I got to catch up on my work before I go away.
I was actually worried because I seen those waves today, and I was like, oh man, he's going to bail on me. He's going to go and chase waves. I can tell. Which I'm going to do today too.
All good. I'm trying to get all my shaping work done now because and trying to get a bit of family time in before I go away.
Oh man, it's rad, and like, mate, you're living the dream.
Yeah,
some would say you live in the dream.
You know what? It is my dream. I can't believe it, and I'm stoked, and I'm keep myself grounded. But I definitely to be able to travel and surf and shape, and it's the dream come true for sure.
Would you chase any more stuntman work?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Well, my good mate Robbie Madison, the
motocross legend,
he's from Kiama too.
Yeah.
So I stayed with him recently because he does a lot of stunt work.
Does he live in the States?
He lives in the States, in south of LA called Temecula, yeah.
Yeah.
And we stay with him. He's got the craziest place, like foam pits, like airbags, giant. It was crazy.
Motocross track.
But he does a lot of stunt work, so I was talking to him about it because he gets a lot. He regularly does stuff. He just done another 2 films. Magnum PI and one in India.
Is there a Magnum PI movie?
Magnum PI movie, yeah. So he just spent all his time in Hawaii. But
we got to get Tom Selleck out.
So if it comes ahead, and I stayed in touch with the producers. I'd love to, yeah. That was the best work in the world.
You've got your contacts now, too.
Yeah, I got contacts, so yeah.
And
but if it does, I'm not too fast if it doesn't.
Sorry, I forgot to ask you. So in the actual movie, right, you're riding all your boards as well.
Yeah.
Did you get any logos in the movie?
No.
I was going to say.
No. So I made all the boards,
for the
guns
movie.
for the movie.
Yeah.
It was like 20 boards.
No.
10 blue for Johnny Utah and 10 red. 5 with toes, 5 paddle boards. But I couldn't have my logo on there. But I was like, all the boys knew that, Bruce rode it, Laurie, Bill, all the boys rode them. And I'm actually picking one up. The producers got one for me because I'm going to have it in the trade show next year with board show.
Yeah.
But, not only did I stuntman, I made all the boards for the movie, which is pretty rad. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
So that was sick.
Bruce, are you quite close with Bruce?
Yeah, I've done lots of trips with Bruce.
Yeah,
and especially
being
after
a Billabong rider as well.
Well, he wasn't Billabong, it was Andy. So I was close to Andy, but then I knew of Bruce.
Yeah.
But then spending time with him,
Yeah, Bruce is Volcom and Andy was Billabong.
Yeah.
Mate...
Yeah, so.
I feel like this is it's been such a treat talking story
sweet.
directly.
Good to tell
man.
My story.
I really your humility is really obvious to me, and I just think it's a really great quality, man. And
thanks.
Thanks for your time. And
no worries.
Probably I
Good to meet you.
might see you around the traps in the South Coast sometime.
Yeah, for sure, mate. Down Aussie Pipe or something.
Yeah, Aussie pie. Yeah, that'd be epic.
Yeah. No, for sure. Thanks for having me. And yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Is there anything you want to plug? Feel free. Plug away.
No, just if you're in Bali, come pop into my store in Berawa, say good day, check some boards out.
Get your
Or
website.
if I'm in the water, come say good day. My website's dylansurfboards.com.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Mate, legend. High five, brother.
Cheers.
Legend. All right. Thanks heaps, man.
All right,
Have
no
a
worries.
great day.